Hey friends, welcome to the channel. If you already asked yourself what the easiest language is that you can learn, you found the right video. Los geht's! My name is Dustin. I'm an IT project manager from Germany. On this channel we create content that helps us to be more productive, to learn new things, especially languages, and to live a happier and more fulfilling life. I've already made a video in which I've scratched today's topic and where I've talked about which language to learn next, and you can find it here. This time we'll do it a bit different and specifically focus on the difficulty. That it's, spoiler, subjective, and why motivation plays a huge role. Let's dive into today's wait. First, a nice sip of coffee. Los geht's. So the difficulty to learn a specific language can be best measured in the time you would need to spend to learn it. There's that Foreign Service Institute rating that groups the most frequent languages into 5 different stages, from easy to more difficult, based on exactly that, the time you'll need to learn them. What's important to notice here is that this classification is made for native English speakers and can differ based on which languages you speak already. So all in all, we can say the more different the language is from the languages we speak, the more time it will take to learn it. Different means the vocabulary, phonetics, including rhythm, intonation, etc., grammar, and the script. Let me give you an example. So for me as a native German speaker, it hasn't been too difficult to learn English because it's from the same language family, the Germanic languages. Still, learning the first language isn't easy, don't get me wrong. I'm just comparing here to other languages. Then I've learned French, and it has been already way more difficult for me because of the grammar differences and also the many different sounds. Also, it's from a different language group, the Romanic or Latin languages. Then picking up Italian after that has been easier again because I've knew already one language of that language family. Same for Dutch, which is somewhere between English and German in terms of grammar, vocabulary, and also the pronunciation. If I would now, for example, pick up Turkish, that would be already quite a challenge because it's from a different language family and I know almost zero vocabulary. Still, the script is basically the same and the phonetics aren't that difficult. Arabic, then on the other hand, has a different script or alphabet, very different phonetics, also completely different vocabulary, and the grammar is also fundamentally different, and they even write from right to left as far as I know. So that's then one of those end-boss languages, for me at least. Summing that up, language learning takes time, and the more time you need to spend to get to a level where you can really make use of the language, the harder it gets. Or does it? We shouldn't forget here that the motivation is at least equally important, maybe even more important, to learn a language. For example, if I wouldn't have been interested in learning Dutch, and if I would have needed to force myself to learn it, it could have been more difficult for me to pick up that language than, for example, Icelandic, if I would have had a really good reason to learn that language, like super interesting job within an Icelandic company or whatever. So if you are really motivated to do something, then it gets easier. So find a strong why first. Of course, that won't be enough because there will be times where you need to stick to your learning and where it also gets kind of boring. The harder the language is, the longer it'll take you to reach the sweet spot where you'll be able to consume native speaker content and talk about topics that are actually interesting to you. With Dutch, for example, I could already understand a lot after just 100 hours. But with French, it took me several hundreds of hours to get to that point. It's also possible to artificially motivate you for a specific language. Do some research and find out stuff that's intriguing for you. What are your interests? Is there any cultural overlap? Maybe on food, wine, cinema, theater, travel? Or are there any places near you where you could speak that language and where you could shock the people at some point with your language skills? Again, an example from my side here. I want to tackle as next language Turkish, and I really can't wait for it to order some baklava in a Turkish baklava store in my city. In Turkish, of course. Nobody will suspect me to speak Turkish, so that will be really fun. And then another important thing here, the first language you learn is the most important. Why is that? Because if you succeed with one language, then it's very probable that you'll learn more. Because it'll give you trust in yourself that you can repeat it and also learn other languages. For me, it worked exactly like this. And once I've learned English and have spent some time in the US and the UK, and could actually interact with the people from there, it motivated me so much that I picked up the next language and then the next and so on. So in conclusion, difficulty and motivation are very much intertwined when it comes to language learning. Start with why and really make sure that there's a solid motivation behind your language learning journey. Then just do it, but be realistic and know that language learning is a marathon, not a sprint, and all good things take time. What do you think? What's more important, motivation or the language difficulty? Or both? Please let me know in the comments. Also, if you're interested in knowing how I would learn a language from scratch, have a look at this video here. Or if you want to know which apps I use to learn languages, have a look here. If you found the video useful, please leave me a like and a subscription to the channel, and to not miss anything going forward, click also on the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and see you the next time.